yeah, this. Well, there's a lot of Nick X images that I really like, but I think. Well, first off, that cover is just that is just so gorgeous. Yeah.
Wow.
And look at that.
Damn, that is incredible.
Yeah, RJ.
That's Jim O'Reilly there.
And that's Jim O'Reilly there.
With Mike doing the pencil or the inking.
Dude, the detail on that is insane.
Yeah. Jim O'Reilly. Yeah. I mean, you got Jim O'Reilly and Nick. Look at that.
Wow.
That is awesome. Where's the image? I don't know if the image is on this. With the girl with the. This is beautiful.
I think it's down at the bottom.
Is this a poster?
Yeah, that's one of the posters.
I was gonna say because that should be a poster. That is.
It's the art for the standalone story, which is Morning Light.
That is gorgeous. That is gorgeous. I love. Oh, I never saw this. Oh wow, I never saw that.
Yeah, that's the other piece of art for Morning Light as well, because there's two pieces of art to go with that.
Oh, where's the one that you always post with the?
Way down at the bottom, we get.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about then.
Yeah, it should be way down. I think I have Nick's stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this is he draws such sexy women. This is great. And then there's one where she's like gloating over him.
I don't know if I have that one posted here.
Oh, but you know what I'm talking about. She's like leaning over. Oh, it's just gorgeous. But anyway, you know, again, I asked Renzo, what do you want to draw? Sexy women. So because we you know, Renzo's done with my comic number 1. He's working on number 2. And then number 3, I gave him a couple of choices. No, number 3 set in stone. Number 4, I gave him a couple of choices. And he was just like, he's like, dinosaurs and sexy women. I'm like, I got it. I could do that. I got that. So
yeah, people are starved for beauty these days. So, you know, any chance we can get a beautiful piece of art, then that's all we need.
100%.
I was telling Tommy about you know, how you do your Saturday lectures, I was about to say, but it's a pretty good word. RJ does these videos that are very highfalutin, but the one that you did on the left's destruction of beauty, oh my God, I think that was one of your best videos you've ever done. It was like gave me the chills, like about how accurate it is and how scary it was. Hey, Project Analysis is another guy who's got. I just read all of his comics; they were really good.
He's amazing, Paul.
Yeah, I joke, but then I realized it's not a joke. We're all going to be working for Paul someday. Paul, it's just through sheer personality and determination. This guy's going to take over the comic book business. And I just would like to say, Paul, I was one of the first people to support you. So
I think I have his title right next to me. Yeah, his latest Kickstarter. I know he's always got one, but
yeah,
Project Neosis. Yeah,
yep, I got
he's incredible.
Right
Omega
here.
20, incredible. Yeah, no, he's
and I gotta
one of the hardest. He's at every con you'll ever go to. This guy travels, loads up his car, and just drives and sets up shop and sells a crap load of comic books.
He stands there and goes, "Hey you, hey, come on over to my table."
Yes, absolutely.
You have to. Yeah, he does it, RJ. He does it.
Yeah, he's got it down to a science. Like I said to him, Paul, you know, when I actually have a physical book in my hand someday, you know, because you know I'm not doing this full time yet. I'd like to be with you one day. He's like, yeah, I'll teach you, kid. And it's funny because he's like 16 and a half years old, you know, and teach this old dog to do tricks.
Now him and his wife are everywhere, and they both have the pitch down, man. You're not walking by that booth without throwing an arm around your neck and sliding you over. You got to at least look, man. You got to look. He's good.
Yeah,
he's good.
And it looks great. Like what I say about Project Analysis is if you like Image comics, but with well-written characters and an actual plot.
You know, so true.
Because Paul makes no bones about it. You know, he started collecting with his early Image comics. So that's, you know, you make what you like. Me, you know, I started in the 70s and 80s, so I'm doing more of a Bronze Age kind of look. But he's doing and he's doing a good job. So I got to give him kudos. And RJ, you like Sword and Sorcery, right? That's your
Sword and Sorcery, and I'm a big X-Men fan, early '80s X-Men, so that's where the Valiant Heroes comes in. It's my sort of combination of the old JLA and X-Men at the same time.
Yeah.
I got homework again. I had you know, sounds like I'm bragging, but Mark Miller was on my channel, and after we were done, he messaged me and he's just like, "You got to read these Justice League comics, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about them." So and it was the George Perez
Yes.
Justice Leagues. Yeah. Can you believe I have them, but I haven't read them yet, so I gotta dig them out.
The great thing about that as well is you get to see George Perez develop as an artist, because his early JLA stuff is pretty rough, but it just gets so much better just issue after issue.
It's funny because the early George Perez, everybody kind of looks like a big baby. Like if you see his earliest stuff was in the White Tiger in those Deadly Hands of Kung Fu.
Yes, Deadly Hands.
Everybody has like a big baby head. They look really weird, and I think it was Marv Wolfman was going to fire him.
Oh wow!
And said to him, "You're not good. We got to get rid of you." And he was just like, "Give me another chance." And he busted chops and improved. And now it's so funny because George Perez, Marv Wolfman, that's like an iconic team.
That's a combo right there.
So it just goes to show you how, and he said he was very grateful. He's like, the guy gave it to him straight. "We're gonna get rid of you." And George Perez didn't cry. He didn't whine. He didn't turn himself into a victim. He just said, "I got to get better." I think he was married or just about to get married. And to George Perez's credit, he was married to a woman that was the model for Starfire. So he better earn those bucks to keep that woman. Reading
that's encouragement enough to get better. Just that right there.
Right. Sometimes my computer just things just pop up. So I'm going to bring up your campaign. So you got a campaign here, and you're on Zoop.
I am.
Which makes me think of Louis Prima, because that's how he says soup. So tell me about Zoop. You're the first person I want to talk to that used Zoop as a platform. So
it's a comic focused platform. They only do comic books. I've had
really?
Jordan. Yeah, I've had Jordan Plosky on a couple times on the podcast, and just a great guy. Love him. He has been huge in, passing along a lot of creators that also do, the comics through Zoop. What's unique about Zoop is they're kind of an all-in crowdfunding group. So they do everything for you. They build this site for you. They market it for you. They do your fulfillment for you. They'll do the printing for you if you need the printing done. So literally all you do is give them the finished files, and they handle everything after that. They could do as much as you want them to do. So I'm very fortunate, just because I've met Jordan a few times, that he's allowed me to be on Zoop. But if you go to the campaigns up there, John, you'll see that there are a lot of folks that have a lot greater accomplishments in comic books. You got Dustin Wynn right there with The Descender. That's his art book. And if you don't know who Dustin Wynn is, man, incredible artist right in the middle right there. But a lot of these folks on here have written, 10, 15 different independent creations. A lot of other folks have come on and taken their collected works and put it in like omnibuses or trades, and they do that as well. So yeah, they're kind of an all-in-one stop shop for an indie creator. And so I asked if I could try it, and we'll see how it works out. I've done Kickstarters before that have been successful. I'm doing Zoop. It's not always the smartest thing to move platforms, because I think people get a little like, oh shit, now I got to learn another platform. But I mean, you literally do everything you would do on Kickstarter as a purchaser. But yeah, it's great, especially if you're like RJ. I saw one of your Kickstarters. I mean, you're starting to do upwards of $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. That's a lot of fulfillment. It's probably good to look at like a Zoop if you already have a built-in fan base, because they're going to handle all the fulfillment for you, unless you already have a third party and you're good. But that's the hard part, right? You get 100, 150 people backing, and you're for 2 weeks fulfilling. That's not fun. And so I don't have a problem doing it, but others, some of these are going $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. They get 400 or 500 backers. Zoop handles all of that for them.
Now, how do they, like, say because right now I have a grand total in all three platforms, 260 backers.
That's a lot, man. That's great, John.
yeah, I'm again. Thank you everybody for a first timer. I'm very grateful, and a lot of the people back multiple books. So I'm going to say I have about 1,000 comics to send out.
Yeah.
200, three. We'll make the math easy. 300 packages I got to send out. Now, how would Zook do that? Like, because Fund My Comic only takes 2%. I forget how much Kickstarter takes. I forget how much Indiegogo takes. How much does like, are you going to be seeing any profit after they do all of this? Because I'm paying.
Absolutely, yeah.
I got to pay. I got to pay for printing. I'm going to fulfill myself because I got to save money somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they do all in, it's about 7%. So I mean, obviously they're doing all the fulfillment, the cardboard, the everything. Obviously, there's extra costs if you print through them, but if you're doing large print runs, because they print so much, they could probably get a better deal when it comes to printing than you doing it on your own. So that's a separate cost. But as far as fulfillment and marketing and all that, they usually charge about 7%. And for me not to have to fulfill and do all that other stuff, I'm okay with it. But I end up paying all of that when I buy my own Gemini backboards.
Right,
You start to add everything together. It's probably 7 to 10% anyways that you're utilizing to do the most of the fulfillment. Again, it's probably not the right platform for me. I'm a newer creator. I have not been as successful as you, John, on any one campaign, but I've only stuck to only Kickstarter. But man, for people that, have 400, 500, 600 backers, the last thing you want to do is, we both had Jimmy Palmiotti on. Man, he gets some, 700, 800 backers. That's him and Amanda and family members putting all that together.
Well, that's my friend Jimmy and his wife are going to come over. He goes, just buy some pizza. I'm making light of it. I don't know what I'm in for yet because I haven't done it yet. RJ, do you fulfill yourself?
Yeah, I did. First book, which was Thomas Valley #1, was 800 backers, so that was a chore. So
wow.
Would you do it again?
Well, I'm doing it again for the Valiant Heroes. We had about 450 backers, I think, there. So, it was substantially scaled down. But I don't know. I'm really trying to get the packaging down and all that kind of stuff and connect with my audience that way. But I know that in some time in the future, I got to give that up and start, working more towards fulfilling the campaigns that are open and things like that, besides, stuff in boxes.
So I don't know if I misunderstood. Are you thinking of having a fulfillment service in the future, RJ?
Yeah, but again, I got to see what this next year brings, whether or not we're going up or down for sales. Really, that's what I'm looking at right now.
I heard that we're going to be hitting a bad period for crowdfunding across the board for everybody. So of course, that's when I jump in when it gets bad.
It is a little tough. It is crowded. There is a lot of different platforms. There's probably 6, 7 different platforms that any comic creator could use. So yeah, there's a lot out there. It's very busy on Kickstarter, so you got a lot of competition. I enjoy it as a comic fan. I've found so many amazing titles through Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and some of the other ones. I use it like a second comic book shop, right? I got my Wednesday pickup, my pull that I picked up earlier today, and then I peruse through a lot of the different crowdfunding sites, and sometimes I'm happily surprised at something that I've never seen before.
So you went to Kickstarter and then found something else to back?
Oh, I've probably backed about 100. You go to Kickstarter and probably look up my name, probably 150 maybe people I've backed in the last year and a half, 2 years. So I try to do my part in the community as well. So
I back way too many people. Like every day I back it, and my wife's like, "I thought you stopped."
No, my wife does the same thing. It keeps hitting the same card. She's all, "What the hell are all these Kickstarter things?" I'm like, "Oh, they're just fees. Don't worry about it." And then I get a box in the mail. She's like, "What the hell is that?" So you start to put 2 to 2 together. So it's getting harder to lie around the wife.
She wouldn't mind. It's just that I've been out of work now for 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I went to Kickstarter and I backed exactly one thing that I wasn't looking for. Like I went to back something and then something else caught my eye, and I'm really glad I did. It was really good. It was a comic called Trombone Man. I'm big into Jamaican ska music too, so it's a comic book about Jamaican ska. And I've actually had the guy on my channel and we talked about it and everything. So that was really cool. But Indiegogo, I've never went to Indiegogo and then bought something else because it caught my. But Fund My Comic, it happens too much. Fund My Comic, I see so much stuff. So what do you call that? You're window shopping and then you find other things. But you know, but it happened once on Kickstarter, never on Indiegogo, and a lot on Fund My Comic. So I don't know. I'm kind of loyal to Fund My Comic because I did pretty good on it, you know, and like I said, I made every possible mistake possible. I think Luke said I invented mistakes, but you know, Luke being the owner of Fund My Comic, but he gave me his phone number and I was able to call and fix it. So I'm like I was saying to Tommy before we went live, I'm a pretty loyal guy. RJ was like the first person to ever talk to me, you know, on YouTube. So I, you know, whatever RJ wants, he gets as far as I'm concerned, you know, and that's the way I feel about Luke. You know, he went above and beyond. He earned his 2%, and you know, and he's only asking 2%. So I don't know, but at the same time, if all I could do is just send these guys my files and then go like this and start working on another comic, that's a really good argument at the same time. You know,
I mean they're growing really fast, and they've gotten some pretty big names to come on over. So again, I'm not saying they're the best. I'm just saying they offer something no one else does. So it's something to think about. I Fund My Comic. I've bought comics off of there as well. I think I got yours though, John, off of Kickstarter when you first started. Yeah, but I know that you were on Indiegogo too, right?
I'm on Indiegogo right now. You know, I did.
So Indiegogo is great as kind of your website, right? That could be your home, which is a great.
Fund My Comic is going to be my home, like I said, because I just I know Luke. I've talked to Luke. I have Luke's phone number. You know what I mean? Like I have a personal relationship with Luke. I don't know anybody from Kickstarter. I don't know anybody from Indiegogo, and like I said, you got to set up a bank account. I messed that up so bad that I was in a panic. I'm like, what's going on? And Luke's like, I don't know, you know, and I'm on the phone with him and I'm turning into a raving lunatic. I mean, this is like 6 days into my campaign. There's thousands of dollars. Luke was on the phone and with Stripe, he fixed it all, you know, on a group call, stuff that I was too, you know, emotionally invested to figure out how to fix. I would never, if that was Indiegogo, I don't know what I would do. You know, I think, you know, so I to me that was well beyond the 2%. So you know, for me to leave Fund My Comic, it would have to be because they print and deliver, you know. So I'm real curious about how this is going to work out for you. I really would like you to come back and tell me about, like, dude, I got hosed. You know, I owe Zoop $1,000 for printing and delivery. You know what I mean? Like,
You never know. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've had Jordan on a couple different times. I'll be happy to pass you his information. He's one of the co-founders, John, and you could talk to him and maybe have him on your show too, and he could walk through the platform and share with you all that good stuff. You let me know what you want to do.
Sure.
I'd have no problem with that. But he's a great guy, and they all came together, created this site, and it's kind of a one-stop shop for an indie comic creator, and they only do comics, so it's not like Kickstarter.
See, I didn't know that. I thought Zoop was like, I don't know. I thought it was like more like, I hate to say
Kickstarter,
like
where they have everything.
Stuff, you know, like I didn't know it was just comics.
Just comics. Yeah. I mean, they do a lot of what they're really good at, and what they produce really well is like collected editions. So like I was saying with Dustin Wynn, who is an absolutely incredible artist. If you've never read The Ascender or Descender, it's all hand painted and water brush. I mean, it's absolute piece of incredible. Yeah, it's incredible artwork. And so they brought The Descender into a collected works, and they print it, and it's a hardbound, and their hardbound is gorgeous the way they do it. Again, he's been in the industry for a very long time. He's worked on DC stuff, so he's well known. So I think they drew almost $50,000 for his. It's just an art book of The Descender.
Yeah, well, he's got a fan base.
He's got a fan base, right? So it makes a lot of sense that he uses Zoop. I'm just using Zoop because I know Jordan. He said, let's try it out and see what happens. So it might not work as well for me. Maybe I'm over at Fund My Comic next, John. I'll have to follow you. And
well, like I said, this is my first campaign. I don't know. Like I was just talking with Phil Diaz an hour ago, and I said, like, if I knew now all the difficulties and things that I had to do when I first started, I don't know if I would have made a comic.
Yeah.
You know, but I with the power of enthusiasm and naivety, I started working on a comic. You know, thousands of dollars later, a couple of hardships, a couple of setbacks. You know, it's so fun. But RJ, this is the difficult part. Like, this is the not fun part. Getting the file. I am so nervous about messing up these files and talking to the printer, and then they all say the same thing. Oh, this page of paper is 150 pounds, and I'm just like, oh, is that good? You know what I mean? So I'm talking to, you know, a couple other guys who, like, what I'm doing literally is looking at comics. This comic looks really good. What paper did you use? What color? What printer did you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not talking to me specifics. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you learn all this stuff on the fly?
I actually got myself a printer, which is fairly close to me, who actually did
he's got beavers
indie comics before.
Trees. Yeah, I know RJ.
Yeah, they've done indie comics before for a fairly well-known artist, indie artist anyways. And I was able to say, okay, you know, I just picked out and said, I want this kind of paper for, you know, my floppies, and, you know, for the it's great because I just say, you know, this, and I just pick out from their selection, because they have all the books that they've ever published. I always keep a copy of it, and I just flip through, right? So that's
local, like you could go drive there and physically look at everything.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half away from me. So
that is awesome.
Yeah. I've been using Comic Wellspring, and they were really good at the beginning. Now they've gotten so big that the last campaign I had, they kind of screwed up a little bit. I mean, they corrected everything and reshipped out copies, but it made me like a month late, which I don't like to do, right? If I say the comic's gonna be done, it's gonna be shipped on this day, I hate going to anybody that backed me and said, sorry, it's gonna be a few weeks later because of a printer error. So I don't know what I'm going to do when it comes to printing moving forward. But yeah, I've been using them. They were good. They were good for me for the first two.
Is Zoop going to print all yours and fulfill yours?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to print for this one. Yeah, but I mean,
where do they print? Do they have like
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Yeah, they have some kind of a, I don't know if they own or have some kind of an investment into a printer, but they do all the printing themselves, which is awesome.
Yeah, I just, like, I was, who the hell was I just talking to? And they're just like, yeah, talk to local people, and I'm like, my buddy's brother-in-law he prints for like Doubleday, and so I called him up, and his name is also John. I'm like, hey John, do you think you could print my comic? He goes, yeah, minimum order is 100,000. I was like, okay, goodbye. And he started laughing.
I mean, that's the problem, right? That's why we all get kind of stuck with Kablam or Comic Wellspring, especially when you're just starting. You don't know what you're going to do, right? Maybe you get 100 backers, but you want to certainly order a little bit more so that you can sell them afterwards. But still, 200 is nothing to a printer. They're like, wow, that's a mistake, right? That's a oops for us. Man.
That's what he was joking around. He goes, John, we will do 100. He goes, we'll do about 2,000 just to make sure that the colors look right, just to throw away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's an old fashioned, ink press. He goes, we got to get the ink right and everything like that. He goes, yeah. So, by the time we got the ink, we got to do like, because they print Marvel posters. They print like newspapers and circular flyers. So I was like, oh man, that would have been great. But
yeah.
Hey,
well, I'm very fortunate on this one because I was able to get a couple artists that I've been working with and I've had on the podcast. So, our regular cover A is done by Dan Zay, who does the interior work. But then we got Jordan Noir, which I would encourage everybody. So you see that $10 one right there. That is Dan Zay. That one right there. Yeah, he is my interior artist. That's Thomas Gunner. And when you read the story, it's really about this island nation. And they're a mining nation, a small nation, a very proud nation. And they find a mineral. They don't know what to do with it. And then in the main continent, there's this nonprofit organization called AGS, the Alliance for Global Safety. And they're kind of the WEF, right? And so on the outside, they're doing all these wonderful things, but internally, they just want more and more power. And as they get their hands on this mineral, they find out it has properties and they could create superhumans, and they start to build out a team. They're giving a superhuman to each nation that joins them. And then they're having these superhumans really go after anybody who has any kind of view outside of their view. And to most of the world, they're like, wow, these people, they're helping with trade agreements, they're doing all these great things. But behind the scenes, man, this is some evil group of people. And Kingsville is like, who are we selling to, man? I'm not sure we're doing the right thing here. And they start to cut them off, and that's where the war is about to begin. But those are the 3 covers right there. You have Danzay on the left right there. In the middle, I encourage everybody to go follow Jordan Noir on Instagram. He just got signed by Image Comics, so he's doing stuff for Top Cow, for Todd McFarlane. That cover is a banger. It's awesome. And then the last cover C, is by Omar Francia. You could follow him too on Instagram. He's worked for DC. He's worked for Marvel. He's done a bunch of stuff in the past. And I got a couple of my issues right here. This is so that's an older image of issue 1. I do have some of those left on the left right there. That's Collapse. He's one of my characters. A big, giant, slow guy, very powerful. You don't want to be in front of him, but he could collapse into a pool of liquid and he becomes pretty quick. But yeah, that's issue 1. Issue 2 right there is a Will Torres cover, which is kind of Dr. Derrickson, who is the head of the AGS and that superhero team I was talking about. And then you have the Danzay cover at the very end.
Cool.
So if you're looking for all 3 issues, there will be a bundle for that. But I have my newer issue 1 right here because we've gone into second printing with Dr. Derrickson. And then I have my issue 2 right here, which is pretty cool, by Danzay as well. So yeah, it's pretty fun. I've loved the process. I don't know about you, John. It's stressful, but I've loved the process. Most of my sales actually come from my TikTok shop. I sell a lot of comics through TikTok. So once the crowdfunding's over, I just put it right over the TikTok, and I do pretty well there. And then I try to hit as many local cons. I don't do San Diego; it's just so expensive, and really it's the hotel that gets you. They charge $400 or $500 a night during San Diego Comic-Con. So I do a lot of small cons around the area. That's actually where I've met Paul several times, and it's been a blast, man.
Yeah. So what do you? This is the first time I'm ever hearing about a TikTok. What do you do on TikTok? I don't even have TikTok. That's like, that's for you youngins. RJ.
Yeah,
right?
I'm 50. So
I've seen RJ doing his viral dances on TikTok. That's about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, just like you, John, right? My biggest platform is my podcast. So I do a lot of interviews. I just had Jason Fabach on this morning. So that will launch on Friday. So I do a lot of interviews with comic book creators, and that's kind of my thing, right? And then obviously I'm a big collector of action figures like yourself. But I'm not a big board game guy like you. I got to get into board games, man. I know you're huge on board games. Oh, that is sweet, man. Yep. Did you just get that delivered?
Just got that today. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot I pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
Odin,
So
Odin's my favorite fictional character. Odin.
Oh yeah.
Odin's
awesome.
Yeah. Odin, Santa Claus, Captain Kirk. Those are like my top 3.
Yeah. That's a good 3. Yeah. So that's my biggest platform. And then I just blast it everywhere. I'm on TikTok with my podcast. Instagram's my largest. I got about 30,000 followers there. So that's my biggest platform. And then my podcast. But like you, I love comic books. I've had this story in my head for about 10 years. During the pandemic, like most people, I was not doing a whole lot. My wife said, "You're driving me crazy. Why don't you do something?" So I did a comic book, and it's been fun.
So how many years now have you been doing this?
I didn't. My first comic book launched on Kickstarter last year, but I was working on it for a couple of years, just trying to figure out the process. I wanted to go slow. I wanted to find a good artist, someone who was going to be consistent with me throughout the process. Nothing worse than having your first comic and then having to switch artists, which happens. It is what it is, but I wanted to try and not have that happen.
RJ, you know that Mark Miller backed my comic, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you know what that means.
What's that?
He's poaching RJ. So
I see.
So yeah.
Which it sounds like you poached, right? So it sounds like you're all losing this guy.
So I told Renzo that. I said, Mark Miller backed my comic, and I said that means he's gonna make you a millionaire. And then RJ Renzo goes, well, then I'll draw your comic for free then. And that's awesome. What you say now, but
Yeah. And RJ, I'm gonna have to jump on that Crom the Destroyer, man. I'm a big Conan fan. That looks awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, just the problems that you were just talking about. We've had problems where we're very late on that because I had to switch artists out, and I did not want to compromise on the level of beauty that Jim O'Reilly brought to that first chapter. But he
Yeah.
just couldn't finish the rest of the book, so I went with Nick Axe, and it's a different kind of chapter 3 and or 2 and 3 with the style, but it's as beautiful and detailed as the first. So that's what I wanted to give my
Both,
my
you got
audience.
both your artists are so good. You know,
Man.
I like them both for different reasons. You know, they're so good.
Well, those pages that you showed on the Crom the Destroyer are some of the best pages I've seen. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. Sorry you had to. I mean, it happens, right? But sorry you lost the artist because that is gorgeous, man.
Yeah, it's just because we're in an indie space, and a lot of the people
Yep.
that want to work are also doing their day job. And Jim said, "Listen, I'm moving halfway across the country, getting a new job. You know, I can finish chapter 1, but I can't do 2 and 3." So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
I've had some, you know, just in the one comic that I didn't even finish yet. I had people like, listen, I got to move on. Day jobs, or they got hired by somebody who could pay better or whatever. You know what I mean? It just happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of rough. So that's why.
especially, yeah, I mean, my books are about 80 pages plus. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's a big ask for indie artists.
So Mike's
Yeah.
Total Dragon Channel wants to know, what are your comic influences? Which runs and creative teams?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, I'm obviously a big Mark Miller fan. I think from an indie creator standpoint, especially last year, working with Jorge Jimenez on Nemesis, and then obviously Nemesis 2 has been a lot of fun. Now he has a sidekick. But Mark Miller, I think, is one of the best writers. Jeremy Adams and Hermonico right now on Green Lantern. I'm really happy with Jeremy Adams and what he brings to comic books. I think he's one of the better writers over at DC right now. And I'm really enjoying the Green Lantern run that he's currently on right now. It's been a lot of fun. And you know, DC has shed a lot of talent over the last couple of years, and it shows in a lot of their titles, right? With Jeff Johns and Scott Snyder, although he's back now, which I've heard the new Absolute Batman is actually really good. It looks funky, but all the reviews I've seen have been very good. So I can't wait to get my hands on it and
It's
see.
funny because I don't know. I just, whenever I see like, oh, it's another rendition of the same character, I'm like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like even with Marvel, I didn't get the Ultimates.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I was like, I want, this is the Avengers. You know, this
Yeah.
I don't want Ultimate Spider-Man. I want this Spider-Man to be good. I don't want Ultimate. You know, and then they all end up getting canceled. Like, where's Ultimate
Yeah.
Spider-Man now? Where's the Ultimates now? Like, it's like, oh, cool.
Well, I think Ultimate Spider-Man's still doing pretty well. I think
They
it's
just restarted
outselling.
it. You know,
Well, they're on issue 7, right? They're on
right,
issue
but I'm
7
saying they
now.
did Ultimate Spider-Man, what, like 2002, and then it got
Oh, yeah,
canceled, and now they're starting it again. So it's like,
yeah.
to me, this is like, I don't care. It's the second string. I want my mainstream Spider-Man to be good. You know, why are you doing it? You know, if you're getting John Hickman to have Mary Jane and it's selling, that's what you should be doing with your mainstream Spider. Your second string Spider-Man, that's where you should be doing the weirdo stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Couldn't agree with you more, John. I mean,
they
they
had
got it
Cannibal
backwards over there.
Yeah, they had Cannibal Hulk in the Ultimates, and it kind of worked because that wasn't the real Hulk. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever.
I mean, that's where you try new things, right? In these old alternate universes, and you see what sticks. So I agree with you. I don't know why they're not taking that story just to mainline and then the 616 and then moving all that other weird stuff over to Ulta. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, I also don't like alternate versions of characters. Like in a fantasy world where all of a sudden Longbox comics goes great, and I do really, there's still going to only be one patriarch. I'm never going to have, you know, patriarch from Earth 7 and patriarch from, you know, Earth 97, and you know what I mean, and then the female patriarch, which makes no sense. But I'm never going to do any of that stuff. You know,
I think you'll make a lot of fans happy.
I don't know if you've been following on Twitter, John, if you're LinkedIn or not. I think Dave Brink was saying, hey, let's get a whole bunch of indie creators together and do a book together. Right. So, you know.
Yeah. I told him, I would love to. I would love to do anything with Dave Brink. I don't know if you're familiar with Dave Brink. He does Genuine Comics. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
I think he's from the Netherlands. He's doing American style superhero comics better than anybody in America, if you ask me. He's doing it right.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
And I know Tonic Bowl wants to. He did a crossover with a whole bunch of characters. He wants to do something again, and he was just reaching out. I was like, yeah, I would love to. And I already there's going to be kind of a minor crossover in issue 1 of Heroic Tales, but it's not really a crossover. I'm vague on purpose, so people don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know if you find it this way, Tommy, but I think what we're doing here, each of us and all of our channels, is laying the groundwork for the future of comics. I mean, at very least the future audience of comics, because it's very small where things begin, and I guess I'll quote Egg Jen, it's always begins very small, right? And comics was always something, when I was growing up, was a niche thing that was for people who, were not mainstream or into a lot of mainstream stuff. But I think that's what we're doing here, and making a lot of connections that will be fruitful in the future. So,
I love it. Yeah, no, I completely love it. I watch. I need to get on you, RJ, man. I love those titles that you have. So I apologize. I'm being exposed to them for the first time on the show, but I'll jump all over those, man. They look beautiful. But I've been following John for quite a while and watching his show, and he's had me on before, and I've had him on my podcast. So I love what you all are doing. It's been a lot of fun watching, and I'm a big backer, so I can't wait to get my hands on your stuff, RJ. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, I got all of RJ's stuff. I just had Phil Diaz on, and I didn't, I've been on panels with him before, but I never saw his books. And then if you saw by the end of it, I was like super excited about his characters and his world building and everything. I was like, So it's even somebody like me who does streams like 3 or 4 times a week. I don't know everything that's going on, so I kind of get embarrassed when somebody comes on my channel and I don't know their stuff.
I'm actually quite the opposite. When I have somebody on, I say, okay, I want to start, like, I don't know really much about you, just inform me to inform the audience. I like to go in cold because there are just so many people, like John said, so many people out there. You can't find them all, you can't track them all down, because this is every nook and cranny. Everybody, you'll find somebody new, right? So it's exploration. And that's honestly, that's the thing I really miss about comics, is that to me, it was always a hunt. You could not guarantee that you're going to get your next issue of X-Men or whatever it is, when you get to the store, or whether or not there'd still be copies of it there or stuff like that. And I miss that hunt. And when you can order anything online, go to, I don't know, comicshop.com or whatever, and just get whatever issues you want. The hunt feeling is gone. But the fact that we have this kind of world within the indie comic sphere, it gets me back into that feel, which I love about comics.
It's funny that you said that, because I keep talking about, like, when I was a kid, the Micronauts comic by Michael Goldman and Bill Mantlo.
Yeah.
I freaking love that comic. And I do realize, like, I forget who it was. Says, I just read it. I didn't think it was that great. And I'm like, oh, that great. It was one of the best. But I realized part of it was because when I was a kid, I think I was in 3rd and 4th grade when that comic came out, and I would have to sneak. Like, I wasn't allowed to be on the bus. So I would, I'm going to go to RJ's house. And then I'd get on the bus, go to the next town over, look at their 7-Eleven, take the bus home, find it, and then go here. Oh, they didn't have it. Part of it was tracking it down and finding it, and then, the chase was part of that particular run. Same with the early John Byrne X-Men, we forget, they weren't that popular until like around X-Men 150. X-Men was really hard to get back then. It was hard to find. So the chase, I think, added a little bit of like fun to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks also producing kind of Bronze Age style comics that have been a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys have seen Power Comics. They have a line called The Masters. Yeah, it's called The Masters, and it's a Bronze Age style comic. Even he puts ads in there, like the old Twinkies ads from that time frame, and it's a lot of fun, and it brings me back to a lot of fond memories, and the stories are just really good. The art, all of his artists are from the Bronze Age. So he's been working with retired artists to come back to help him with all of his titles.
Oh, cool.
So there's a lot of amazing artists on there. So you guys should check that out too. But it's, if you're not into a lot of the new stuff because of where stories are going and all the weird stuff that's happening in comics, I just go to like the Masters and other groups like yourself, RJ and John, just to bring that
This is
old school
Power Comic?
style, man. It's called Power Comics Group, yeah. And you
Okay.
can look. It's called the Masters.
Send me a link on Twitter later.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Yeah.
Kevin's my old roommate back in Albuquerque. He says I don't remember, but I got him that entire Micronauts. Don's was a local comic book store back there.
Oh, really?
I used to date the woman that ran the store, so she must have gave him to me because she gave me the entire run of Power Man Iron Fist.
Oh, wow.
Issue 4. That's the one with Man-Thing on the cover. I think that's a good one. It's only like $2. What do we got here? Okay, you just put.
That was their. I think that Kickstarter is over, but that was one of their Kickstarters. So it gives you an idea of their characters and the art. He's great, man. Austin's awesome. He lives right outside of Chicago in the suburbs, and I've had him on the podcast a couple times. He's amazing.
What is? So who are the Masters? Oh, these.
The title's called The Masters.
Oh, cool.
And it's a 4-part series. He just I think ended with part 4. There he is right there. But man, if you follow him on Facebook, you'll see all the amazing artists that have worked on all. Jimmy Palmiotti's one of them, who has worked on his stuff. So yeah, great storylines. Very old school, Bronze Age. He loves the Bronze Age, so he's recreated that in all of his characters. It's awesome.
I love this look. It looks like an old Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see some of it. Artists, Joe Rubinstein. Oh, Val Mellerick. Okay, yeah, Joe Rubinstein. Yeah, these are classic. Alan Weiss. Yeah, I know all these. Wow, Power Man. Oh, cool.
Homage covers they did. Yeah, check it out. I mean, he just, when you're talking about RJ, those style of comic books, I could not agree with you more. And so I'm always looking for stuff like this that I could really get into. It's a lot of fun, and I'm not afraid to hand it off to one of my grandkids either, because I know it's going to be appropriate for them.
Cool.
Yeah, it's one of the things both John and I are adamant about. I think, speaking for you, John, is that if you want to draw in more people to comics, you got to make them for all ages. You just have to.
I'm big into all ages. I'm like a broken record. Like the Dark Phoenix and Hellfire Club, that was all ages comics. There was a lot of suggestive stuff that I didn't get as a kid, and then when you reread it as an adult, you're like, but yeah, they didn't shy away from it. Yeah, there was some real creepy stuff back at Old Marvel, like Avengers 200, the creepiest comic ever made. If anybody wants to reread that, I'll let you discover that on your own. But that was an all ages comic. There's a lot of suggestive stuff, but they did it with, like some storytelling and like I was talking with my nieces and nephews, like Led Zeppelin had some suggestive song, but they disguised it so like you could listen to your grandmother, can hear it in the supermarket, and then you're like, wait a minute, are they really talking about this? And they're like, yep. And then you turn on like Nicki Minaj, and it's just like, where's the subtlety? This is like frying pan to the face.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot to be said for subtlety, panache, and a little bit of like I don't know what's the word, discretion. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I always I've said over and over again, but I always think that the limitations that you have to work under is what makes you more creative. Quite honestly.
Yeah. Good point, RJ. Yeah. My comics are a little bit more adult from a gory standpoint, but I stay far away from like sexual situations and stuff like that. I just don't think that's necessary. But I'm also a big Conan fan, and I'm really loving everything that's happening with Jim Zub right now. I feel like his career has just blossomed under Titan.
Yeah, I got all. I think there's 12 issues. I got 11. I'm missing number 1. I got because I can't read it, number 1 because I'm a crazy person.
Yeah. So here it is. I mean, I appreciate you popping that up there, John, and thank you for giving me a platform just to share it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. The war begins. Things will get really really crazy, some really awesome fight scenes. Dan is a great artist, and he's been a lot of fun to work with. And the first arc is going to be 4 issues, and so we only have one more after this. And I've been working. I don't know if you guys know Wham Stand,
No.
Moose over at Wham Stand, but he helped me produce these standees, so it has my emblem on it, and it slides right into here.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
you can see all the. I mean, it's well done, 3D printed. So these will be rewards when we're hitting goals. He also did some keychains for me. So there's a lot of stuff. He could produce anything, and for comic book creators, if you're looking for rewards for your, fund my comic or whatnot, he's very, very good priced. So I could definitely help you with that.
I don't know if you know Marvin Wynn from the Edge comics. He's making like stand that says the Edge, like the name of his comic.
So I have, this is Wham Stand right here.
Yep,
these hold comic books. So I take these to and they pop out. So I have, I have a Titan one, I have a Ghost Machine one, because I'm really loving what Ghost Machine is doing over there with Jeff Johns and all of the team over there. But yeah, you just slide them on there, and I take these to cons and I put all my comics in it, and it just looks beautiful. But he's done a lot of really cool stuff. Trying to think of what else I have around me. Everything else is boxed up, but yeah, anything that he'll do anything. I mean, he owns like 5 3D printers in his garage, and all he does is support comic books and comic book creators. So awesome dude, man.
That's another one of the things that I love about this space, is because, I do videos that go into depth about what's not working for the last, 5 to 6 years in mainstream comics. And it's the fact that, they could hire some people who just love comics. I mean, we know the fact that they're not paying really good wages for people who are doing comics, but honestly, you could substitute that with saying, okay, I want to work on comics. I'll take whatever I can get because I'm a comic fan. But they won't hire those people because they just can't get people to destroy stories if they love the stories, is the thing. But the people here, just like you, I have guys saying, I want to do t-shirts for you or something like that because I love comics and I want to do something, for you. And the fact that you have people who love comics to the extent that we do, and when they don't want to be a part of the creation. And again, that's a part of old comic collecting that I love. And I don't think you can get that in many new comic shops.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, you're right.
I just
couldn't agree more.
This is gonna be mean, but I just wonder how many people working for Marvel right now would still make the same exact comics if they knew they were putting their own money up for risk. I'm putting my money up.
Yeah,
I'm literally putting my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, unfortunately, with them being owned by multi-billion-dollar conglomerates, I just don't think Marvel comic books are that important to Disney, right? It's such a small piece of their overall P&L. And if you look at Warner Brothers, unfortunately, DC is a small piece of their entire P&L. So I don't even think they have eyes on it, to be quite honest. And so you get people coming in there that maybe don't have the experience to lead, especially from an editor standpoint. They kind of just let things happen. And that's why a lot of their comic books aren't in the top 50 when you look at it. I think Marvel has some in the top 50 mainly because they have amazing runs like Spider-Man, where people are trying to keep that run going.
Oh, and, I got friends that still buy Batman and Spider-Man, but they haven't read them in 10, 15 years. And I'm like, I said, you're the reason why comics are so bad. And he's like, oh, man, because you don't read them. You're just buying them out of habit. And if you're one guy, there's got to be thousands of these guys that just
And I watched a video just came out last month, John, talking about the exact same kind of thing, about the fact that the market for slabs is just tanking right now because you had all these people that were getting into buying slabs because they thought they were being comic collectors, but they never were able to read the comics, so they never actually got into comics themselves. And so now that the luster has gone off of buying slabs, nobody wants them. They have to crack them open and sell them for just raw comics if they want to make any money back. Because you need fans.
What do you, Tommy? How do you feel about CGC slab comics?
I mean, I own I have my Conan issue #1, my Roy Thomas that is slabbed. So, and I do that more for protection. I'll never sell it. That's one of my favorite comic books ever. So, But I probably own a few that are slab. My Invincible one is slab, but I'm not a big slab collector. I probably, it's been a couple of years since I bought a slab. I don't like to do it unless it's something that I just want to make sure stays protected because it's a big part of my collection. But I read my comics, so
Yeah,
I like to read them.
I don't I do it every Sunday called Sunday Comics at
I
10
watch
a.m.
it, yeah.
Yeah, and people like were freaking out because I took out my copy of Fantastic Four #1, my X-Men #1, my first appearance, Journey into Mystery 83 and stuff, because they're comics. And a lot of people said in the comments, I've never seen the letters pages, I've never seen the ads before.
Yeah,
you never see that. But I also understand, like, if I could sell that Fantastic Four, I don't know, for a couple of grand. But if I slabbed it and got a number on it, I could probably literally quadruple what I could get. So
yeah.
I
wonder anymore though, John, because of everything that's happened with CGC. I mean, they cannot get themselves out of like bad situations ever since that first issue happened where someone inside was switching things out. Like there's so much distrust with CGC,
really?
and then more information just came out that it's a lot bigger and broader than everyone thought. It's really hurt the slab market, and I think that's good. I think that's good for comics long term, right? Because
I don't like it because they're not comic books anymore. And if you collect slabs, you don't collect comics. You might as well collect baseball cards or posters or something. But don't say you collect comics.
Yeah.
And to me, if you don't read comics, you don't collect comics. Just yesterday, my buddy Roy came over. Roy, if you're watching, that was a lot of fun. And we played a board game. We played this game, Zaya. Okay, just so everybody knows, we played board game. And he brought his buddy over, John. And I'd never met him before. And we sat next to each other. I'm like, hey, I'm John. And I just asked him, are you into comics? And he goes, you're the guy that's making a comic. So he got all excited that I was making a comic. And then he goes, oh, I've loved comics ever since. And he said his first comic, he talked about where he was. And I was like, that's a guy that likes comics. Like, he remembers where he was when he bought it. He remembers what comic it was. He remember everything about this comic. You know what I mean? And I just met this guy and I instantly knew he was a comic collector. And then there's like, I feel bad saying this, but my cousin, he's like, oh yeah, I just got into comics. I was like, oh, okay, what's comic? He goes, yeah, I just picked up the Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man #27. I was like, oh, what did you think of it? He goes, I didn't read it. I'm like, okay, so when are you going to read it? He said, well, it's a key issue. I'm like, well, why is it a key issue? He goes, well, it's a key issue. And we're running around. I'm like, so why did somebody told you it was a key issue? So you bought it. But he's like, yeah, I'm going to slab it. I'm like, you're not a comic collector. I said, do you have no idea why that's an important comic? He's like, well, it's a key issue. I said, we agree that. Why? And it's because it's Frank Miller's first Marvel comic. I said, I know that off the top of my head. And I can describe the cover to you. I can describe the panels to you because I read the freaking comic. I said, you're not a comic book collector. You're a speculator. And speculators almost ruined comics in the 90s, and you're going to do the same. And now when people tell me slabs are bottoming out, I get schadenfreude. Yes, guys, I'm not perfect. I have mean qualities, and I'm getting schadenfreude that all of these guys who are buying slabs are bottoming out. One guy got real. I bought Avengers #4, the first Captain America joining the Avengers. It's the first Silver Age appearance of Captain America. I bought that and it was slabbed. It was 8.5, and I was, oh my god, I was so mad. I couldn't believe it was slabbed. I wish I had a channel because I ripped that thing open, and I read it, and it's in a bag and board in my box. If I had a channel, I would have filmed myself opening up slabs. I really. It's not collecting, but at the same time, I feel like a hypocrite because, like, when I retire, will I slab some of my comics because I might need the money. I don't know. But I also, there's no way in hell that I'm not going to get a Heroic Tales #1 slabbed that I could have as a keepsake because that's my first comic. Yeah. But I'm doing that as a nostalgia. I have no intentions of ever selling it. And let's be realistic. Who's going to buy that comic, for more than $10 because that's what it costs? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a place for slabs. If you want to, I mean, it's a good way to protect your comic. People are slabbing the dumbest things, literally the dumbest things right now, hoping that in 10 years they're going to be millionaires off of it, and that's what hurts the comic book market. Right. But if you got a Fantastic Four 1 or
Hulk
X-Men 1 or
181.
something like Hulk 181. That's like, if you've read it, you've enjoyed it, it means something to you, you slab it. It's probably worth slabbing if that's what you're into. That doesn't bother me as much, but when people are walking in on a Wednesday and Dynamite has 20 covers of a Disney whatever villain, whatever, and they think that cover Z is going to be worth $1 million they're slabbing, hey, more power to you, buddy. But you're not helping the comic book market by doing that. You're encouraging these publishers to do crazy things like that. That's not my thing. Like, again, whatever you want to do is up to you. I don't think that's valuable, and it doesn't help the industry at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I every comic that I buy, I'll read. You know,
Yep.
Again, I still have like 17 long boxes of comics that I haven't read yet, but they're not mixed in with my comics yet because I have to read them.
Yeah.
You know, file them, put them in. There's a nut job process that I have to follow. But comics are for reading, and if you want to get rich, buy stocks. You know, I invested Bitcoin too. You know, I have no problems with being rich. I'd like to be rich, but like comic books are, I don't know. It's like, do you want to get rich off of talking about baseball with your buddies? You know, because that's what comic books are supposed to be, hanging out with your buddy.
Yeah.
Like I also like to play Dungeons and Dragons. How can I get rich off of playing Dungeons and Dragons? Hey, RJ, if you could figure that out, man.
You know, sometimes it's just entertainment and you're not going to get rich off of it. I think that's okay. I need some of that, right? I need an escape from my daily life, and comic books have always been my escape. And I like you, John and RJ, I read them because it's an escape. A lot of the stories are amazing. And I love it.
Yeah,
I always say the fact that the stories for comics, and it's all sequential art. The stories for sequential art is between the panels. It's in the gutters where your mind takes over. And if you can't actually get to see anything besides the cover, you're not enjoying anything.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
I don't know. I also can't read digital, and I do understand people who, you know, they don't want to pay the money, or you know, a digital is also a good way to get that Fantastic Four #1 that you But I want a book in my hand. I want a comic in my hand. You know.
Yeah, I do have the DC app, and I do have the Marvel app, and I do go in there and I'll reread old stories if I don't have the comics here. But I agree with you. It's something about holding it, the smell of a brand new comic book, the feel of flipping the pages. That's why I enjoy your morning show on Sundays. You know, just to see you switch I mean, I hope that's not a lost art, right? With everything that's going on, with everything being digitized and all that good stuff.
I like what Fabrizio said. By the way, Fabrizio has a wonderful comic called Horace H. Hoover. I think I think your website is HoraceHoover.com. If he's got 3 issues out, the 4th issue is coming out any minute. Somewhere there's a 10-year-old kid who wants to read his dad's comics, but they're slabs. That kid will turn into a serial killer. See, guys, slabbing comics creates death. All right,
that's it.
Future storyline of Horace Hoover right there.
Yeah, there you go. But on the plus side, when he kills people, at least the comics won't get blood on them.
Yeah, exactly.
You could just take a Windex and wipe off that slab.
Yeah, Global Comics is good. Yep, that's
Global
another good one.
That's a digital reader, right?
Yeah, it's a digital reader. They do have. I mean, it's all indie, right? They have some Image, but they have a lot of the indie stuff, and it's great. I have my comics on there too, so you could upload it and you could charge people or put it up for free or whatever you want to do. But it's another good app, and I use that one quite often as well, for mainly AWA and some of the smaller publishers. Yeah, I mean, I could look and see. I think I have about 400 and something people who have read my comic on Global Comics. That's the only digital. I have 2 digital platforms. I also have it's called Comics App, and they're out of Australia, and so I do have some readership for like
upside down, right? Because
I'm sorry,
your comics are upside down because
exactly 100%. They're harder to read, John, but someone's doing it. Someone's upside down there reading them.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious, and like, because I was one of these people that would just like, you know, like if you get something free, a digital, you're never going to buy it. Like I remember the very first time I heard about this, I think it was I can't remember, but they put I think it was Radiohead. They just gave away their record for free and said, give us whatever money you think is fair. And they ended up making a killing. And I was like, this, to me, that's counterproductive. And then I'm living proof because I get Pandora. You know, I listen to Pandora at work. You know, I'm on a construction site. I'll put up little speakers and I'm listening to music. You put on a Led Zeppelin station, and next thing you know, they're introducing you to songs you never heard by. And I'm like, oh wow, I've bought more records in the past 3 years than I bought in the past 20 years because of listening to a free site that played music for free. So, you know, Global Comics, I don't know, maybe somebody like, you know, I like that Kingsville. I'm going to buy them. Like, has that happened? Do you know?
Yeah. So I don't want to put every issue obviously free on there, but once you start to get to issue 3, 4, and 5, sometimes it's okay to put your first issue up there free, let people experience it, and then they could come and purchase the next issue. I think that's how a lot of publishers are using it. So you'll see like Boom is on there, AWA is on there, Image is on there with a lot of their titles, Top Cow. You throw on that first issue, you get them hooked, and then hopefully they will pick it up the next one. Yeah, World at War Comics on all platforms.
Yeah, we follow each other. You'll see. War Geeks Network follows me. I follow all these guys. There's a lot of indie books there. Yeah, you know. Again, I'm still dipping my toes in the water, and I don't know. You know what my you asked me what my plan is going to be next year. I said I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. You know, I'm kind of just focusing on getting the comic book out. And again, if I had known now all the troubles, tribulations, and expense, and then the way everybody except for us, all this fighting and drama, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Craziness. Yeah. It's craziness. It's not helpful, but man, people are people. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I just mind my business, man. I love comic books.
I learned the hard way to mind my own business.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's hard, man, because people say things and I'm just, blood is coming out of the side of my mouth. I just try to stay out of all of it, man. It gets crazy. I just love good comic books. Give me a good comic book. I don't care who published it. I'll read it.
Speaking of drama, I'm going to have to make a dramatic entrance here, John. My stream will start.
We'll talk about you as soon as you leave. That RJ.
Nice to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you, RJ. I'll be purchasing your books, man. They look amazing. Thank you
very much
for being on. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to be leaving soon too. But like I said, I see all this drama online, and I'm like, how does this help sell comics?
It doesn't. It doesn't. And it just, people hate politics because it's so divisive. And then you try to go to, whether it's movies is your thing or sports is your thing or comics is your thing. And then all of a sudden you go there, and then all of a sudden the same drama you're trying to escape in a different format is right in front of you. You're like, where can I go to not have all this drama go on around me?
Well, you can go here. John's Longbox. You can go
there you go. Exactly.
I only talk about comic books that I like. Obviously I read comics that, oh man, I really didn't like that. I did it 4 times. 2 times nobody cared.
Yeah.
The second time people are like, oh good, he's one of us. He agrees with me about this. I'm like, no, I want to just didn't like this. And the 4th time people attacked me. So
what do you do?
I had 4 negative reviews, and it created a inverse tachyon pulse that tried to destroy me. But whatever. So
whatever, John.
I'm gonna go eat my dinner now.
Yeah.
Yes, I cut my own hair. Kevin's busting my chops about my haircut. When you're 3 months out of work, you cut your own hair.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, John, I can't thank you. I can't thank you enough.
We'll address this last comment there. The price of comics and the price of independent comics is high. I wanted to keep my comic book as low as possible, to the point where it probably bit me in the butt, but whatever. Yeah. I agree. Comic books are expensive, and why would we be doing this if we didn't like doing it?
Yeah.
Are you rich on your comics yet?
No, I don't make. I don't even think I'm whole. I just love doing it.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun, and it's got to be a passion. But I don't see comic books coming down anytime soon. Like, if you're noticing bread is 30% higher, if you're noticing gas is 40% higher, trust me, paper is higher too. So it costs me $3.50-$4 to print a comic. So I can't sell it for $5, or I'm in worse shape than I'm already in, because I got to pay my artists, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, Nick Cricky wants me to plug his comic, The Nightsayers. What format is it on? Because we're just about to get to Ed now. So just type in what platform The Nightsayers on. We'll give you a little plug. I want everybody's comics to succeed. I literally, when I sit down to read a comic, I want the comic to be good. Just like when you go to a restaurant, who wants the comic to be bad? I'm cheering for everybody. So go to Kickstarter and check out The Night Slayers #1 by Matthew Crick. He's a longtime watcher. I want his comic. Send me a message. Maybe you come on the channel yourself and talk. You know what I mean? We'll give you your own, because I like talking to people about comics. Yeah, they're not coming down. They're not.
Yeah.
I know we got to lower the price of gas. We lower the price of fuel. And
that helps everything.
Everything else. The price of fuel.
Yeah.
It's like the leader of the price of everything else. But before this is evolving into politics. I don't want it to go to politics. So we'll end now. I'm real curious about the platform Zoop. Again, I'm very loyal to Fund My Comic. So for me to switch, I would love to have you, because this is your first time on Zoop. I'd love for you to come back and tell me about your experience. If you don't mind talking the numbers, like, it worked out really good. All I did was send them because if I could just send somebody a file and then get to work on the next issue, oh my God, that's great. Yes, I have Facebook. I have 2 Facebooks, so make sure you don't do my my professional one. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna close this down, and I really am curious about Zoop as a platform.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I will definitely update you on that, and I'll send you Jordan's information on the side if you ever want to bring him on and talk to him. He's a great guy. Great guy.
Cool. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Talk soon.